All right, so this next thing that we're going to be looking at, guys, is we're going to be kind of talking about how to find distance between 2 points. And there's something that you guys did in Algebra 1 that I just wanted to review with you guys. It's the idea of like simplifying a perfect square or simplifying radicals using perfect squares. So like a perfect square is when I can take a number and square it and I get one of these numbers. So like 1 squared is 1, or 2 squared is 2, or 4 squared is 16, or like 6 squared is 36, okay? So what I want to do in order to simplify it is look at the number. So like, for example, I'm looking at square root of 50, and I want to figure out what is the largest thing that goes, which of these numbers is the largest number that goes into that number, like square root of 50. So let me just show you a couple things that you guys can do on your calculator. If you guys could press second and window, okay? Second and window. Second window. And what I'm going to ask you guys to do is go to the independent row. So you have two choices. You have auto or ask. In my case, I have ask, so you do want ask, so highlight that, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of use the calculator to help us find the largest perfect square. So now what I'm going to ask you guys to do is press Y, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type that number, 50, which is in this case, and I'm going to divide it by x squared, okay? And I'm just going to press enter. The reason why I'm dividing by x squared is I'm trying to figure out like which of these, 1 squared, 2 squared, 4 squared, 5 squared, 6 squared, which is the largest number that goes into it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press second and graph, and that gets me a table, okay? So I can see, like I could press 1, well 1 goes into it 50 times, so that's okay. 2, well 2 does go into it, but it goes into it 12.5 times, so it's not a true perfect square. You can see 3 and 4 don't go into it, so let's try 5. Looks like 5 squared goes into it 2 times. So what I'm going to do is I know that 5 squared is 50, so what I'm going to do is I know that 25 times 2 gets me 50, and what I'm going to do is now break this up and say it's the square root of 25 times the square root of 2. Like I could take a square root, okay, and break it up into 2 square roots, and what I end up with is 5 square root of 2, okay? So let me just show you guys this on your calculator. If you press second quit, that gets you out of this. Well, square root of 50 is 7.07, and then if I do 5 square root of 2, that is 7.07, so that works, okay? So let's look at a couple other examples here. So let's look at 72, all right? We want to find the largest perfect square that goes into it. So I'm going to go back to y equals, instead of 50, I'm going to put 72 divided by x squared, and then I'm just going to go second graph. Well, these are all the numbers that go into it. 3 goes into it pretty good. 4 does not. 5, let's see, what would be another one? Let's see, 6. Well, it looks like 6 squared goes into it twice. So what I can do then is I can rewrite this as the square root of 36 and the square root of 2. How did I get 36? It's what 6 squared is, all right? And that just ends up with 6 square root of 2. That's what its simplified is. All right, so let's look at 8. All right, so 8. Well, I can clear this. I'm going to take 8 divided by x. X is right here, squared. Okay? And now I'm going to go to my window. All right, well, 1 goes into it. Looks like 2 goes into it. 2 squared goes into it twice. So it looks like that's the largest one. So I can rewrite this as 2 squared, which is 4, square root of 2. So I end up with 2 square root of 2. Okay? Well, now let's look at 300. So I'm going to take 300 divided by x squared. Okay? And this, it's a bigger number, so we got to see if there are some other numbers that go into it. Well, 1, all right, so 1 goes into it, 2, 5 goes into it. We could check, like 6 doesn't. Well, let's see, 7, no, 8, 9, 10. Well, 10 goes into it 3 times, so that is a prime number, so that might be a good one to work with. So 10 squared is 100. So I'm going to rewrite that as the square root of 100 times the square root of 3, which just finishes out to be 10 square root of 3. Okay? So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is for tonight, try to finish 4 through 12 for me. Finish this page, and then we can go over that tomorrow.